Heyo everybody, Haku here with a Tower of God theory, and you saw it, you read the title, you saw the thumbnail. This one is going to be just me predicting that the next time we see Rachel, she's going to be Poe Rachel Zahard. Now this is the most sort of, like, if I was the type to waste things, I would have wasted some tinfoil to make a tinfoil hat for this one. Because this is probably my craziest, most out there one. The two I did that I remember in the past actually both happened, but they weren't like really out there. I guessed that Wangnan and Karaka were going to be brothers, but then again, they both had the Zahard rings and everything, so that's not really that big of a stretch. I guessed that the Grace family was going to be some sort of hidden, exiled Ten family, and that Bomb was going to be a part of it, and that ended up happening. But again, there were some sort of hints, I guess, in there that made that not so wild. This one, though, is a completely different case. This is more just me thinking of what is the most evil, horrible theory that's ever popped into my head, and it popped into my head this morning. But for a lot of reasons, the more I thought about it, the more it made sense. So, spoilers for the end of Season 2 of the webtoon, of course. But we know that Rachel's basically getting these three wishes. She's getting these wishes from Pobedao Gustang. And I didn't want to give it too much thought, because a lot of times I'm like, you know what, I don't want to overthink it so that I can still be surprised at whatever the outcome is. But I really gave it some thought this morning when I was like, it just popped in my head, what if she got made into a princess? Because my immediate thought with those wishes, I was like, well, Rachel should probably be like, let me stay with you, let me work with you. Why on earth would I want to go back to just trying to climb with just me and Yura when I'm so weak and all that? So she should want more power and beauty. That seems to be her thing, but I'll get into that a little bit later. Gonna try to keep this video short. But I think that what she's going to ask for, I'd like if her appearance didn't change too much fundamentally, but I think it would make sense for her to say, you know what, adopt me into the Pobedao family, because we've seen this in cases like with Andrasi, where the 10 families will bring in people, give them to Zahard to become a Zahard's princess from their family. So she could totally be like, okay, let me into the Pobedao family, then give me the Zahard power and all that. And at first, one of the problems with that I would have seen would be, well, is the Pobedao family really on good terms with Zahard right now? From what we've seen, he put destroy them as one of the potentials in the Three Orders, even though the Three Orders haven't come into play in forever, pretty much since they were introduced. But we do have Pobedao Liborit Kun, who just came into the scene recently, who works really closely with Idori and is now one of the most high-ranking officials that someone could possibly be within the Zahard army and Zahard Empire. So because of that, I guess the Pobedao family isn't totally on the outs. So yeah, that makes total sense, and a few of the reasons why, when I thought about it, I was like, oh, that'd be evil, that'd be horrible, fans would hate it. But some of the things that came into my head, it would continue on her rivalry with Bomb. Her sort of character arc alongside his has been, well, I'm not strong or powerful like you, so I need to betray people. I need to be sneaky. I need to surround myself with strong people who I can convince to carry me up. And we've seen from blog posts that in canon, Rachel is supposed to be very, very convincing. So if she could trick Pobedao, or not even really trick him, but just convince him to let her work with Zahard's army, it would make so much sense. We see that Bomb is now working with FUG, so of course the opposite of that, Rachel wouldn't really necessarily be loyal to Zahard like some of the soldiers we've seen so far, like Calavan or Elpathion, but she would totally be the type of person to use Zahard's power, use the influence she could get from working with him to propel herself upwards and get what she wants in the end. So I could totally see her working with Zahard's forces as sort of a foil to Bomb working with FUG. And also we've seen on this journey her being the rival character who isn't this stronger, more skilled character that Bomb has to physically beat. most of the weight that she had against him was emotional weight. He could destroy her in a fight at any time, and we saw that. It came to its climax right before they got to the last station, where they finally did face off, and Bomb just completely destroyed her in a fight. It was no challenge whatsoever to him, really. So I think we've maybe pushed that aspect of their relationship as far as it can go, with him being much stronger than her. It feels like going up the tower, it seems a little bit more and more ridiculous that she could keep climbing, she could keep competing while not being strong. So it makes sense to give her some form of strength, not just the Minazuki, not just the stingray she has, but adding on to that, it would be such a change in her character to make her someone that could actually compete. I mean, Bomb is mega strong at this point, but giving her princess powers, giving her something that lets her at least stand in the ring a little bit, would really be a new aspect of her character that could keep things interesting rather than just going with what we've seen so far. It also helps to continue her rivalry with Khun that we've seen throughout the series, especially in Season 2, with Khun continually trying to backstab Rachel, and Rachel continually successfully backstabbing Khun. It sort of becomes one of those things where he was exiled from the 10 Great Families, but he still has a lot of those 10 Great Family connections, but she sort of continues that rivalry by being like, look, now I have 10 family connections and all that. Same goes for Andrasi. We had a lot of really cool character moments on the Hell Train with her and Andrasi, but this adds that thing of, now she's another princess. We know there's a lot of different princess factions going on, who would she work with or anything like that, but just adding that in, that she had that moment where she was like, you have beauty and power, and that's why you get treated the way you do, and it's different, and I'm weak and ugly, and that's why I get treated differently. So if she has that princess status, if she gets that beauty and power as well, how does that continue the dynamic between her and Andrasi? And it just makes it this thing where, like, she's this evil character who just can't do the things that Bomb and Khun and Andrasi have done, so she sort of takes the things that they've done and has this warped version of them, this warped version of a connection with the 10 families, working with Zard rather than FUG, becoming a princess, like, sort of in a sketchy, out of spite sort of way, just to elevate her own goals of seeing this wide open sky and everything. So I like that aspect of it as well, with continuing on her rivalry with all of those characters. Also, to look at things from Gustang's point of view, not only was Gustang the one who came up with the princess system, he was the guy who made the idea and gave it to Zahard, so it would make sense that he would want to use the system that he convinced Zahard to implement. But also there's the fact that he mentioned that Rachel was meant to be his pawn that he was using. Why wouldn't he want to make his pawn a better and more useful pawn? So it totally makes sense from Gustang's point of view that helping Rachel in this way helps himself, and we still have yet to see how. Siu has said that Gustang is supposed to be this, like, big bad villain in the series, but we've yet to see exactly how, and I think helping Rachel in this way is going to be one of the ways that Gustang continues to build himself as a villain into the future. So it totally works for Rachel on her side of things, and works for Gustang on his side of things. And the last part that I want to bring up that sort of makes me think that this could actually happen, as crazy as it sounds, is it kind of fits Rachel's character arc in a way, and sort of one of the grand themes I've seen in Tower of God as a whole. It's that Rachel's constantly blaming Bomb, blaming Andrasi, blaming everyone, saying that what she lacks is power and beauty. That's what other people have that she doesn't have. So what kind of great character arc would it be to give her that power and beauty, give her what she thinks she's lacking, and then, in the end, when she still loses to the main character, when she still loses to Bomb, she'll be able to realize, I had the power and beauty, that's not what I needed all along, because what she needed all along was to trust others and have others be able to trust her. It goes all the way back to making friends on the second floor. both in the sort of making friends on the piece of paper test and the first test of you're just fighting these people, now you have 5 minutes to make friends, to trust somebody in Yu Han Sung's test, to trust the hints to be able to open the door. Then moving on into Season 2, the untrustworthy room, having teammates you can trust in all these other different tests and different aspects. And the reason that Rachel keeps losing is because when things get bad, Bam has somebody there who trusts him or who he trusts to help him out. But Rachel constantly burns those bridges. She has nobody that trusts her, and a big reason for that is she doesn't trust any of her teammates. She uses them. So it's one of these grand themes where she can realize that what she was missing, what helped all these other characters get up, it wasn't power, it wasn't beauty, it was trusting others or being somebody who can be trusted. Because we've seen this shown through other characters, which I love Yurik because of this, because Yurik has basically the same goal that Rachel does, but Rachel's betraying people, doing all these horrible things, whereas Yurik is super powerful. Yurik could do all these horrible things to try to reach that goal, but he's a really weirdly nice guy. He's always doing good things for people, which seems out of character from the stories that people hear about him. So I love that we have somebody who's this foil to Rachel, who has basically the same dream as her, but who isn't screwing everybody over to get to that dream. We've seen other people who aren't very powerful, who are still going up the tower because they have teammates to rely on. That's been a lot of Wang Nin's story. We also have a lot of stuff going on with, what was I going to say? With people who, aren't beautiful. We have a bunch of weird character designs who are still going up the tower because they have teammates and people they can trust. So I think Rachel getting these powers, Rachel becoming Pobedao Rachel Zahard, is amazing in all that way. And the biggest reason for me is, can you imagine the moment when she shows up? Maybe not this arc, but it would be cool actually if it was this arc because of the army being there. All these characters who kind of, we as fans, a lot of us have come to like some of these characters, even though they're technically Bam's enemies, because some of them really aren't that bad of people. But to have these characters who are supposed to be so cool and powerful kneel to freaking Rachel of all people because a princess has shown up there and they announce her as Pobedao Rachel Zahard, people would be so pissed off and it would be great. It'd be amazing how angry everyone would be. Oh, I would love it if this actually happened. So yeah, this is my most tinfoil theory yet, but my theory is going to be Rachel becomes a princess. And also a part of the Pobedao family. That part may not happen, but I think it'd be great if it did. So, yeah, that's my my new theory and my reasoning and justification behind it. So I hope you enjoyed the video. I hope to do a bunch of random videos like this whenever I just have thoughts about the series. Just to cut in somewhere during the week and be like, hey, I had this random thought, and I turned it into a video, so here you go. In the future, I hope to keep them shorter. This video I hope to keep shorter, but I didn't really take notes or anything, so I'm just kind of going off the top of my head. Like I said, this is just something that popped into my head this morning, and I was like, oh, it's so evil, so dastardly that I have to make a video on it. So yeah. That's the end. Thank you for watching. Like, comment, subscribe, follow on Twitter if you want. If you want a link to our Discord server, ask and I'll give you one. And if you want to help support the channel on Patreon, it's patreon.com/HakuOfTheTubes, or a link will be in the description. But either way, that is it. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you all next time. Yeah, thanks for sticking through this video. It was really, really just completely off the cuff here.